Hey guys, Adam here. Just gonna make a somewhat quick video on about my new tune and some of the hardware that I use to go along with that tune. And specifically, this is for my 2018 Golf Sportwagen S 4Motion with the DSG. And I recently upgraded from Unitronic's Stage 1 Plus tune and Stage 1 DSG tune to their Stage 2 IS20 tune and their Stage 2 DSG tune. And of course, this required two pieces of kit, which was a used IS20 turbo, which is the turbo that comes stock on the GTI, and a Unitronic downpipe, which they only sell one model, which has a catalytic converter. And I don't know why anybody would want a non-catted pipe that they smell and they're too loud. But this video isn't about that. So my initial impression after having the car for 5 days and putting I'm about 400 miles on the tune at this point is super positive. The tune added took me from what was about a 254 rated horsepower, and I think it was 291 or something pound-feet of torque, upwards of about 300 horsepower and about 310 pound-feet. And of course, this car stock with the 1.8 comes with 170 horsepower and about $1.99 pound-feet. So it's a really big upgrade to go to Stage 1, but I will tell you the upgrade from Stage 1, I have the 93 tune, which Unitronic calls Stage 1 Plus. APR just has it as an APR Stage 1 93, is massive. The car is outstanding. At this point, I don't really think I'd do anything else to it. It's fast. I'm just using Torque Pro, an app for your phone that just reads off the OBD2 port. I'm seeing 0 to 60 times. I had one at 3.9 and one in the mid 4s, so it's probably somewhere in the 4s, maybe low 4s, which is crazy fast for a car that I paid $20,000 out the door for. The car launches great because it does have all-wheel drive, and actually I can now chirp the wheels. Before I wasn't able to chirp it with the Stage 1, but now I get a little chirp before the Haldex kicks the power back to the rear end. So that's really it. My gas mileage on the highway appears to be about the same, but I track all my fuel mileage using Fuelie, and over a few months I'll see where I am with that. But I have no doubt that it's about what it was before. Of course, city mileage is almost all based on how you drive, and I've been sending it a lot in the last 4 days, and my mileage is shit because of it, but I don't care. I'm actually on a road trip right now, so be curious over the couple hundred miles, what I see, but I would anticipate somewhere around 30, which is what I had before, which is just what VW rates the vehicle at for the highway use. It's awesome. I paid somebody to install the turbo. I did buy it used. It was a 2017 Revision L IS20 with 5,000 miles on it. Got it from a guy locally for 350 bucks. I paid a shop. It was north of $1,000 to do the install of the turbo and downpipe. It's actually pretty involved, and I don't have a lift, and the all-wheel drive downpipe is a pain in the ass to change out based on the DIY videos I've seen. That plus the turbo looked like a pain in the ass too. I could afford to pay somebody, so I used a local European performance shop, and they did a killer job. Let's talk about the downpipe. So Unitronic says that really you're supposed to, for bolt-ons to go with the IS20 Stage 2, you're supposed to use the downpipe, of course, intake, intercooler. I don't think the intercooler is that big of a deal unless you're just really hammering it over and over. The intake, I've done basically as much as you can to the OEM intake. K&N air filter, remove the grating, sometimes called the snow guard. Open up the driver's side air duct along the front above the radiator. Closed off the passenger side pass-through vent. Went with some CTS Turbo Budjo gear, including the silicone inlet hose, the turbo inlet pipe, and the turbo muffler delete. So there's really not much else I can do on the intake side besides an open element intake, and that's just too loud for me. So I'm not going to do an intercooler yet, maybe one day, but I don't think it's a big deal to not do it. Let's talk about the downpipe. So the primary piece of gear you need to go with Unitronic's tune is a downpipe, and the reason you need to go with the downpipe is their software has been optimized for it. It's dealing with that downstream O2 sensor, and I think you could probably run the stock downpipe, but I don't know why you'd want to. It's a known restriction. It's known to open up the power of the vehicle. I know APR's tunes can be purchased for downpipe or for the stock downpipe. So I went ahead and went with Unitronic's downpipe just because the shop I used is a Unitronic dealer, and I feel like supporting them and not mail ordering a bunch of crap and giving it to them. So the Unitronic piece is outstanding looking. The quality is top notch. It was about $860 with a sale they just ran. It's a beautiful piece of kit. I will say there's a lot of questions on forums and YouTube videos and things and Facebook about the sound. So I have the 4Motion wagon, and the 4Motion wagon comes with 2 mufflers. So I don't have a single exit, I have a dual exit. So it goes downpipe, which then hits a resonator or the mid muffler. It then Ys to 2 mufflers before the tailpipes. And so the addition of the catted downpipe, the big 3-inch downpipe, it actually hardly changes the node, exhaust node at all, which is consistent with some users online and what they've reported in the same situation. It's a little louder at startup. It's a little louder under wide open throttle, but cruising, I don't notice it. I think if my wife Kate would have gotten in this and driven it after the upgrade, she wouldn't even have noticed it. I will also say that I do get an occasional DSG fart, but it's very muffled, so you probably wouldn't really notice unless you were listening for it. So downpipe on the stock exhaust is awesome. I don't want a loud car. I don't want a rice burner sounding exhaust. Maybe a little more tone would be cool, but from what I can gather, that's pretty hard to achieve with these exhaust systems, and I think for now I'm just going to settle that it's perfectly fine. The last comments I'll make are about the Stage 2 DSG tune. So I upgraded from what I had, which was the Stage 1 tune. The Stage 2 tune, Unitronic's website isn't really accurate. Their description of the Stage 2 isn't really correct. They say that what it does over the Stage 1 is gives you a 4,000 RPM launch over 3,700 for Stage 1, and that you eliminate the manual kickdown. So if you're in manual mode on the DSG and you stomp it, there's a switch under the gas pedal, and that sometimes, if you're in auto or sport, will downshift you automatically or force a downshift. In manual mode with my Stage 1 tune, I never could get it to kick down. So I think that's actually it's actually both tunes have that capability. But what did change was the launching. So it didn't go to 4,000 like their website said. It actually is a dual stage. So there's a 3,500 RPM launch or a 3,700 RPM launch. The stock is 3,000 for a point of reference. And the way you do this is when you put it in launch mode and first step on the gas, that's going to go to the 3,700 RPM launch. If you don't want quite that much and you want to kick it to 35, you let off the gas and do it again, and it'll be 35. I thought that was super cool, but it's kind of a hidden feature that they don't advertise for some reason. The only reason I knew about it is when I hooked my Uniconnect cable up to look at the tune and see what that looked like, because, by the way, I had the dealer just install them for me because it was already there. It gives you a description on the screen of the different tunes, and that was where I found out. So I emailed Unitronic, and they said, yeah, you have a dual stage launch. I also think that you get a little bit more clamping force and speed of shifting is improved, and that's why they recommend getting the Stage 2 tune over the Stage 1 when you go to IS20. Interesting. I'm driving right now actually at 55 miles an hour, and I will say you do get a little more tone on the downpipe. So the RPMs right now are 2,000 in 6th gear at 55, and yeah, it's a little, I wouldn't say it's a drone, but there's a little more noise. It's not bad. I'm learning something every day about this new setup. Trying to think what else. I mean, I changed my oil right before the upgrade, and because my oil already had 6,000 miles on it, it was time. Or close to time. I usually go about 7,500 on the oil changes. So I went ahead and changed that, but I didn't mess with my spark plugs. I think there seems to be this notion that you have to do all this stuff to your ignition system, and Unitronic says you can just run the stock plugs. So I'll just run them up to 40,000 miles, or see if I have any issues, I'll change them. But for now, I'm just running it like stock. And again, it's a super upgrade. It's the coolest car I've had in terms of having a fast sleeper, and I highly recommend, if you're going to do tuning, consider the IS20 tune or upgrade. It's pretty awesome. Peace.